All right, before we begin, I want to make sure that I can be heard and there's no audio issues. So give me a moment. Check this out. Yep. So roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a stream that was regarding a user on Discord who had blocked me for saying hello, and I talked about how stupid it was. And just this really strange thing this person did, right? But I didn't harp on it for as long as I would probably this person, because the person I'm talking about is what you could call the link between me and the other person, where it's like a mutual acquaintance or whatever. Um, Now, if you saw that video, the Snowflake story, I was talking about how this person contacted the moderator or the top admin of this server and decided to ask them who am I, and me and the person had known each other for 2 years at that point. I don't know exclusively or specifically what he said in response to being asked who I was, but again, we knew each other for 2 years and spoke at least once, like on average once per week. So there's no way in hell you forgot who I was. We'd actually spoken to each other that same day, and the day before that, and the day before that. So again, like there's no excuse. Um, so I also mentioned in a couple of other streams how there was this person who had pissed me off because I asked them to watch a video I had done, and they kept saying they would eventually get around to it. And I was saying, how long does it take for a person who's online every day for hours to watch a video that's less than 20 minutes? Because I oftentimes say that I get people having schedules, I get people not being able to check out stuff on a daily basis. That's completely understandable. But when I'm aware of the type of schedule the person has, and they go from saying, I'm going to eventually see this without putting a date on it to keep, leaving leeway for them to not watch it, to then saying, I don't watch this type of stuff on YouTube, to then saying, sorry, I'm not interested. I think you can kind of get where the person seems like a lying douchebag. I would hope you could understand where that would come off that way. I hope anyways, just saying. But look, I accepted a lot of stuff with this person. There was actually a period where they had, because on Discord you can speak to people on what are considered calls, like the VC or whatever. So I had said to the person, hey, let's have a VC, because we had one before, at least maybe two or three of them. And they would always say, oh, I don't like to get on the VC because my voice would. I said, okay, we'll do it like this. I'll be on the VC and you'll be on there too, but you mute your mic and then you can write stuff to what I say, because I hate having to type a bunch of things over and over again. This has actually been a complaint with me and some of these chicks I've spoken to, where you'll try to have a phone call with these people and they act like that's going to give them terminal cancer or something. It's crazy. Let me say, well, to DJ, I'm all right, I suppose, but I just want to recap this story. So the bottom line is that I accepted this person's like way of doing things, and after a while, they switched from saying, "Oh yeah, we can do it like this," to saying, "Oh, I don't want to do one, Sadi." And I was like, "But you said you would do it." Again, this is not an issue of someone not doing something and, oh, I'm so pissed. It's the fact that you have an individual who will make a claim or a promise to do something and then not do it and expect for you to just go right back to acting like your acquaintances or nothing happened. Effectively no consequence for doing the wrong thing. It's not wrong to not want to do something. It's wrong to lie and say you want to do it and then not do it. That's the issue here. I think that's something a kindergartner could understand. Um, so I say to him, look, man, uh, I will not speak to you on any kind of friendly basis if you do not watch this video. I am tired of this lying. I'm sick of being told one thing and then having the opposite come into effect. I'm done with it. And he had he had a server, or rather, he had a function of his server where it's called venting, and people basically go in there and talk about Oh my God, my mom made me take out the trash today. I'm gonna slip my wrist, stuff like that. But sometimes people actually have legitimate things that they go in there and say stuff about, whatever. I'm not a person who's a fan of like putting something out there in the sense that like I'll talk about the relationship stuff, but there's still certain things that I'm not keen on, just like disclosing to a whole bunch of people. So especially when the person who I have a problem with is the top dog in that server, I'm not going to want to put their stuff out in front of everybody like that. I think you can comprehend why I would not want to do that in that regard, because a lot of times, you know, you say a lot of this stuff about people with the hope of anonymity and that the person never sees it, or if they do, they don't say anything. When you literally want me to post something about you without saying it's you, or rather, in saying it's him in his little chat room thing. So uh, I message him. He insulted me a couple of days before I insult him back. I'm not one to play these games of you get to say whatever you want to me and I don't get to say anything back. If you know that meme. It sounds familiar, DJ. But going back to what I was saying, so I go to the this thread because he makes it to where on Discord, I keep having to explain the functions because there are people who don't understand how it works. The only two ways you can speak to someone are if you're in a mutual server or if you have them on like private message or you're enabled to speak to them through that. So he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna block you on here so you can only talk to me in my server," and I block him first, because again, I'm not gonna wait for you to make it to where I can't say anything. So he puts my stuff. He's like, "Hey, if you want to use this, whatever." So I write in here a little bit about the scenario I described, the basic premise of it. And again, just to reiterate, because people like to get stuff twisted, uh, the issue here is that you have a person who says they will do something and then doesn't do it and then expects there to be no consequence for not doing it. So in his server, one of the fellow moderators, admin people, whatever you want to call them, is like, "Oh well, you know, this sounds like a tough situation, because and to their credit, they at first seem kind of like they're trying to be a mutual force, but then they start pissing me off because they do that like the same thing that a lot of people who see the relationship stuff do, where they play internet psychiatrist, where they try to like evaluate the mental state of a person they've never met before based off of a persona or some content they put online. Where I go and say, "Hey, I'm upset that he wouldn't watch this video because he said he would do it and he didn't do it." That's all it is, right? He goes, "Oh well, if you're this upset about that, it sounds like there's something else outside of the video." And I said, "Look, man, point blank, I'm not going to continue speaking to you if you start doing that. I don't need a internet pathologist who has never interacted with me trying to give me some evaluation." He's like, "Oh no, I'm not trying to do that." I'm trying to. So again, he called himself, to his credit. Um, and then the admin comes in here and starts playing the victim. "Oh, you insulted me and you called me trash and you said I was dumb." I was like, "Do you?" It was like, it's really nice that you play this revisionist history, because the week before, and actually right before that, you were calling me. Let's see, basically a drama queen. You know that how people will insult someone without directly saying a term. Now this is the person I've spoken to, or I spoke to rather, formerly now, for 2 years, and I told him all kind of little stuff that was going on. Hey, having these troubles with these voice actors, having these troubles with these chicks, having these troubles with whatever. Just different stuff that go when you speak to someone for a continuous time, they eventually will be privy to just from being around. And he never complained about it. He never said, "Oh my God, don't bring this to my doorstep. Don't show me any of this. Don't explain." So I never interpreted just saying how you felt to like be so burdensome to him, and especially since I knew he was referring to the stuff that I would say, just like casually mentioned, because in this 2 year period, there were only two instances where me and people that he called himself being friends with or cool with were coming to blows, and metaphorically, of course. So the first time was like a couple of days after we met each other. We were both in the server, again 2 years ago, and then this thing with with the titular Snowflake. the one that blocked me for saying hi, that was like, oh my god, who is this person? Oh, and by the way, that same individual that did that to me, he did the same thing to another person, who had, and it was the same kind of scenario. Hey, how you doing? Oh my god, leave me alone, and then blocked them. And then the same admin that I'm talking about was like, oh, everyone, please stop randomly messaging people. Please stop trying to communicate and form interactions in a server that is designed for people to do that. Please stop. And I actually thought, I sent a message. I was like, so is this your way of talking about me? And he was like, oh no, it happened with the same guy but a different. I was like, oh well, that kind of should tell you something about him, or whatever. We still the brought vulture. So I'm in this again, this venting part of his server where people are writing all kind of stuff about how they feel and whatnot. And I say, hey, look, I'm pissed because he said he would do something, he doesn't do it. And I'm not going to speak to him until he watches this, or if he doesn't watch, I'm just not going to talk to him again. And the same one who tried to play the internet psychiatrist or therapist or whatever tells me that sounds like bullying. When I read that, I almost peed on myself. I couldn't, like, I have never seen in any form of media, in any scholarly writing, in any sort of description by any person that has walked on earth prior to this, an individual who describes not talking to someone as bullying them. Like, think of how just backwards that is. When you think of messing with a person, you would think of interacting with them, doing stuff that directly has to do with them. When you say, hey, I'm just going to cut myself off from you, I'm not going to talk to you ever again, this person says that's bullying. I'm like, no, it's a tip for tat. It's a trade. So you watch this, I'll speak to you. Don't, we're not doing business with you. It's the same thing with any other person you meet. You do this, I'll speak to you. You don't do this, I won't talk to you. It's a little Sky. He's been absent for quite some time. I put out a missing persons poster. Would wish they were bullied in this manner by someone not talking to them. Yeah, this is the best bullying ever. I must be like one of those premium bullies, the ones that don't, that just by not speaking to you, you feel so bothered and torn apart. And I said, look, man, not only is your definition ridiculous, but and just to clarify, I don't have the messages, and I'll get to that in a second. But I said, not only is your description ridiculous, but the guy himself, the main moderator, has shown himself to not be bothered by not speaking to me, because if he, like, think of how insane this is. Imagine like Sky, right? You're like, oh, I want to get married, and some woman's like, oh, just watch this video and then we'll get married. You're gonna watch the video if it's something you really want to do. I know Sky has expressed his disdain for that kind of, but you get my point in the example that it's a very simple, direct thing that you have to do to get back on good terms with this person, and you decline to do it. So that should say, you're not really as bothered by not speaking to this person as you let on, as you convey, as you try to get people in here to think you are. And so I say to this moderator, I'm getting to this friend of the moderator, the one brings up the bullying claim. Is it really so inconceivable to you that someone would be upset that they can spend weeks working on something, and a person that calls themselves, some acquaintance or their friend or whatever, can't take the few minutes that it does, or that it would take to watch it? Is that so hard to figure out, like, why that would piss you off? And again, it's not like, oh my God, you know me, so you must watch my stuff. No. You specifically say, I want you to watch this particular video because I put more work into it than a lot of other stuff. Whether it takes a week or 2 weeks, just check this out. And they go from saying, I'm gonna eventually see this, to, I don't watch this kind of stuff on YouTube. It's like, what am I supposed to put it on BitChute, or what's the other one? What's that new one? Black Avenger TV or D Live? Like, what are you talking about? But you see the levels of ridiculousness and just stupidity that are oozing off of these people. So the admin comes in there, and he's like, getting spoken to by his little, snowflake buddy, who's like, oh, well, you guys probably shouldn't talk to each other. And, admin, don't watch stuff you don't want to watch. And I'm thinking to myself, do you not get how like what you're saying is the complete opposite of the whole point? The issue here is that he claimed he wanted to watch it. And then after getting like, his feet held to the fire to watch this video, he just never got around to doing it. And he expected, because the mistake I made was in, I said earlier we had a VC where it's like a call where he would type stuff, I would say things, and then he would type stuff in response or whatever. And he said he would do it, then he declined to do it, and I got pissed for a few days, got over it. I was like, no, 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 this isn't like that, because a call is a call. It's something that can be scheduled later. It's something that two people have to agree with to see happen. A video is something I put time and effort into that was nowhere near as long. Like basically, it took no effort whatsoever to watch it when compared to the effort it took to make it. So there's no excuse. And you were, not to mention, you were given multiple weeks to check this out. So again, my sympathy is like, just down at the bottom. The moderator, continues speaking to him, and he starts apologizing and going sorry. And I say to him, look, the best way to say sorry is just to watch the damn video. Like that's all, we don't need any, oh my God, I feel so bad, I called you. Screw that. Just watch the thing. Oh, wait a second. This guy says, is this a person you know? No, over the internet, it's an acquaintance. This is another one of those, like, remember I told you how people get too attached to stuff online, like how they'll go and say, oh my God, my closest friend I met on the computer. I just call them all acquaintances because I will drop them as quickly as I met them. And that actually did end up happening here. So the moderator is like, saying, oh my God, I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm like, dude, I don't care. All your little stupid apologies don't mean anything to me because you're still repeating the same behavior that is, pissed me off in the first place. Then the another member of that server who actually is someone I've seen several times before. They don't seem like they're as bad as the other ones. They come in there and they say something so ironic that I almost like put my hands over my face. I think this would better be, what is it? These aren't their exact words, but it's something like, I think this would better be reserved for a private message or being kept to just the two of you. And I'm like, I agree. That's exactly what I tried to do. This idiot told me that he was going to make it to where I couldn't message him anymore and forced me to come in here and like start talking about this stuff. So, they were in sync with my way of thinking, whether they wanted to be or not. But then anyways, the bullying moderator, the one who's, talking about, oh my God, look at what you're doing to him. You're not going to speak to him. That's going to be like bullying. He's like, oh, you guys should not talk to each other for a while. And I'm like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And within maybe 5 or 6 minutes of me saying that, I get kicked out of the server. I don't know who it was by. It could have been by the one who said the bullying thing. I don't think it was him. Just he didn't strike me as that kind of person. I think it was that same main one that had pissed me off. But when you get removed from a server, you don't have access to, which is why I'm not using any screenshots in this, and I decided to do a stream instead of a video, because when I do a video, I can edit it, put the stuff up, show you all of what was said. I can't do that here. So, that was an interaction that went on from January of 2017 to like last week, early this week, somewhere around that time. And it was just to give you an example of how regularly me and this person spoke, I have about maybe, let's see, 2 years is 700 days or a little bit over that. I'd say we probably interacted for maybe 600 of those, like all the time. Just, hey, what's up? How you doing? Oh, this happened. And it's not like having some in-depth conversation every single day, but just, how was your day? The pleasantries, basically, really a lot more common than with most other people I've spoken to in the same time period. And it was all thrown away by this person over a refusal to watch a video. And I feel no type of sympathy or remorse. And I want to point this out. When we were in that little chat room thing, it was him apologizing, not me, because we've already been over this. I don't care about none of this trash, so I can say whatever I want on here. Which, by the way, that's another thing. These people, when I was telling you about how they like to do things and expect no consequence, you saw this reflected. I know you didn't because I didn't put the messages up. When I spoke to his little snowflake friend, the one that gets mad when people try to say hello to them like a human being, he was saying, "Oh, my friend is da 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 da, and you shouldn't say this about them, and you're assuming things about them," and blah, blah, blah. He was running his mouth. And I said, "Look, man, they have the right to block me, to make it so I can't speak to them. I have the right to say they're an idiot in a video or in a chat room or wherever the hell else I want." And this is my point, that if he like in his head, if I just keep putting this off, he'll eventually forget about it, and I can just like go back to speaking to him like regular. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. See, I realized I believe in consequences, and I'm not talking about, because people like to take words and twist them. I'm not talking about, oh my God, some chick didn't like me, so I'm going to go and do some violence. So I'm saying that if I'm the kind of person who, for example, spoke to broads, with actually like going out and trying to talk to them for 7 years and got no results other than a gold digger girlfriend for like 6 days. So the response to that is, okay, well, I'm done. And that's a behavior that I would not have come to were it not for the actions of someone else. If this person had watched the video, we would still be speaking. We would still, interact on a, daily basis or whatnot. Yeah, they're not awesome at all. Broad. That is a completely inaccurate description. But you get my point, that if he had chosen to just watch this video, none of this would have happened. Because I took that thing with that guy, the one that is like a big crybaby and blocks people for saying hi to him. I took that and threw it out the window. I said, I don't care about that. That's a guy I spoke to one time. That's not a big deal. Your conduct during that was kind of crappy, but it still doesn't make that much of a difference as far as like the grand scheme of our particular interactions. The fact that I made something and I asked you to watch it, and then you said you would do it, and then week after week went by, and then you started making more and more excuses, that deserves a cutoff, because I don't like to affiliate myself with what's a good substitute word? People who have difficulty achieving uh, simple levels of understanding things and comprehension. And what that means is, because I'm trying not to like use another word, um, is if watching a video is very simple. Like, you have 8 people in here who are literally watching a video. They just click it and there it is. If you can't watch a particular video that is, again, like let's play devil's advocate and say, oh my God, this thing is hours and hours long, right? If you can't watch a particular video that is less than half an hour after a month, there's something wrong with you. And like, I know people who go to school and work, and they're still able to see stuff if you give them a week, 2 weeks. I gave this person a month, and they just kept on playing. Oh, I'll get to it eventually. Oh no, I don't like this kind of stuff. Oh, I'm not interested. It's like, pick a personality, because I have the same personality day after day. I do stuff, that I like to do, whether it's streaming or anything out in the real world. And if you go out of your way to impede those types of things, I get rid of you. It's most frustrating because I don't see what he had to do as anything that was that difficult. And it was like when I was in that server, like we talk about being in the twilight zone with the political stuff and just like how people think about things. I don't understand like how something so simple would be construed as a difficult thing, and how you could like have this group of people in there that are complicit with such a difficulty to do a very basic thing. I don't know if you guys remember Winter Fresh, the one that has that avatar where it's like I think it might be a chick with like some purple hair, but he sent me a video on Twitter and was like, "Oh, I want somebody to watch this." I watched it. I think I might even left a comment on it, but the point was that he asked me to do this, check this thing out. It was done like that because it's not that difficult to like. I have a Patreon, right? Very few people are on it. It's like three people or two or something. And I said, look, if people don't want to give money, and I get, people are tight pocketed or they're struggling, whatever, I would just appreciate viewing the stuff. Um, one of those two things can be done by a person. Now, you might not be able to do it every day, which I've said before, but if it takes a week or 2 weeks to just catch up, I'm perfectly fine with that. So if someone can't support me financially, whatever. But if they can't support me by watching something that is not that long after being given weeks to do it, they're trash. Let's see. Hell, I've been listening to the start of the stream, but was making some eShop purchases. Spent birthday money to pre-order Mario Maker 2. Oh yeah, I heard about the game. Yeah, I really played stuff that much. I just me and the consoles have kind of fallen out, so to speak, over the last few years. But getting back to what I was saying, so you look at this server, and you've got all these different people in here. They're venting, and I don't like to just take an entire group of people and say, "Oh my God, you're all like this person," because like I said before, only two people interacted with me in that conversation with him that weren't him, and one of them seemed to kind of, be on my level as far as not wanting this to be out on that server. But you got to ask yourself, like if the people around you really think that, like it's either one of two things. They either themselves think that it's that he's like being done so wrong by me because I'm pissed him and watch this video to where I don't speak to him anymore, or they know he's stupid for doing that, but they want to like keep in good standings with him and whatnot. See, that's like basically the person who wants to be your friend so badly that no matter what you say, they'll just go along with it, like at any cost. I don't want those types of people hanging around me. I'm not interested. The ones that will like pat you on the back to just keep some kind of communication. Because I had multiple instances where I directly critiqued him over things. I critiqued him over supporting that regime change in Venezuela, and that again, hear me out as far as like why my position is the way it is. This is an individual who has stated that they have a high opinion of my political beliefs. Whether he thinks it's well founded, whatever. And when I tell you about a particular issue that you yourself admit you don't follow that closely or not as much as I do, and you tell me, oh, yeah, I know, but I still like, okay, well, then you don't value my position, because if you did think it was so well informed, you wouldn't take your, again, admit to his own admission, uninformed position and say, oh, no, this is the correct, superior one. And like I said, I don't get like that when it comes to shows or movies. People say they're like this. I don't care, because it's a film, it's a show. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But when you have a foreign government saying, we want to come into your country and pick your leader, like I'm really the only one who thought that was screwed up. Hey, whatever. Bro Vulture says, I remember recommending an anime to a friend. Then months later, I talked about it. He is like, I haven't watched it yet. Then out of anger, I retort, it's too late. I'm going to talk about it anyways. Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are those who, when they want to, let me tell you something. There's two sets of when it comes to like watching stuff, two sets of people, those that do it immediately and those that put it off. I've exhibited periods where I've said I'm going to watch something and just never got around to it. I've said the same, that I was going to read stuff, never got around to it. But I think when you're able to recognize that and attempt to correct it, like be reminded, somebody says, hey, you said you're going to do this, you haven't done. Oh, but let me get on it. It's a lot better than someone who just goes, who retcons their reason. Because that's why I said he retconned his reason for, doing what he did. First, it was, oh, I'm so upset that, you're doing this. No, first it's, I'm going to watch this. Then it's, oh, I'm not interested in watching that kind of stuff on YouTube. The stupidest comment the world has ever seen. Again, am I supposed to put this on other video sharing websites for you to be interested? Like, oh, I was going to say the word, a person who has difficulty in achieving basic levels of comprehension. So he flipped his reason, and that's something I've seen other people. That's something I've done on my own as well. I said, "Oh, I'm going to read this whole thing," and I said, "No, I'm not going to read it." But again, at least I'm honest with the fact that I sometimes do that. And if someone kept putting pressure on me to read their thing and reminded me, "Hey, check this out," because you like to play devil's advocate and say, "Okay, maybe this person forgot." After a while, I can't give them that same leeway. Like I can't say, "Oh, you really forgot about this for a month after being asked by me to watch it, what, 10, 11, 12 different times." Like I still have the record of the messages where I'm like, "Hey, can you watch that? Can you watch it? Can you watch it?" And just wouldn't do it. So, he wouldn't watch it and I would get rid of him, and I did. We don't have any business putting soldiers in Venezuela, but at the same time, I agree that he did arrest by members. Well, again, we've said this before. No, we're not agreeing about the Maduro government being some wonderful, thing that was achieved by his popularity and message and whatnot. We're just saying that a foreign government should not be able to tell the people there who their leader is. Like, why can't I go into North Korea and say, "Hey, screw Kim Jong Un, Vulture is your new president," or if it's Iran's supreme leader. Imagine I'm going to Iran. I'm like, "Hey, screw Khomeini. Splendor Gaming is your new supreme leader." Imagine they take his picture, the remember the no avatar with the purple background, and they put that up in a big silhouetted poster. It's like, "Oh hell, Splendor Gaming." And watch somebody in the comment section be like, "Oh my god, you did the Hitler pose by putting one arm forward like that." Like, no, man, it was me gesturing at the idea of these people having their thing. People misconstrue stuff all the time. So it's something I can't control. Just like with this guy watching this video, I said, "Look, he's free to not watch that. Just know that I'm also free to not speak to him. It goes both ways." Like, I'm really tired of people thinking that just because they're online, there's no consequence to anything they do ever. Like, you can go on here and you can tell somebody they should kill themselves. You can go on here and tell somebody that their stuff is garbage, and no one can say anything back about you. You can say you're friends with someone and then make a bunch of excuses as to why you can't watch the video that they put together and requested you to watch, and then they should just go back to speaking to you like nothing happened. I already did that when he canceled that call on me. I was pissed for a few days, got over it, but we're not talking about the call anymore. And you can't, even if we were, you can't keep doing the same stupid thing of having something presented right in front of you and putting it off or not doing it. And we're supposed to just want to be your friends now. Like, yeah, buddy, buddy, buddy. Let's see. You can be when you can play 18 rounds of golf and you can get 25 holes in one. Oh yeah, with the extreme rigging system. Mark says, "Yep, I agree. I think these people may be borderline a narcissist / bipolar." But that's my thing. I hate how no one in his server said, "Okay, maybe you think him holding your acquaintanceship ransom over this video is dumb, but why can't you just watch the video?" From what he said, he gave you weeks to watch it, and you claim that you want to still talk to him, or you wanted to still talk to him. So why can't you just watch it and then get what you want? Both of you get what you want then. Hell, if it was smart, you know what, another one of those little, and it should tell you that again, this is a person who has difficulty achieving basic levels of comprehension. This is them down here. This is basic comprehension. They're negative comprehension. If he was smart, he would have gone to the video and put it on mute and then watched peas and be like, "Oh, I like that part where this person does this," and then that's what I would do if I so hated stuff that somebody was making, but I wanted to be cool with them. Those are the little small tricky things that he never thought of doing to just pretend like he was interested. That's why that's so funny to me. But I guess I can't expect something that's that cunning from a person who has difficulties achieving basic forms of comprehension. So it all adds up. I mean, I really don't feel like I'm in the wrong here. I've said before, I've had plenty of people I've spoken to online for a year, for months, that after they piss me off enough, I cut them off. Because let me tell you something, the ultimate goal in life should not be about, and I know this is a channel that people like to associate with the romance stuff, but it should be about personal fulfillment. So if you want to screw, I don't know, 10 people, and that's like a main goal of your life, then do it. Don't care about what I say, don't care about anybody else says, do it. And anything that gets in your way of doing that, get rid of it or just completely ignore it. The romance YouTuber, I hate that. I try to avoid that label like the plague, man. They go and mess with you over all kind of stuff. Um, but take any other example. If like let's pretend Mark's ambitions, right? He's like, oh, I want to be I don't know, a doctor and have a wife and 2 kids. And I go, but Mark, if you're a doctor and your woman's not a doctor, she's going to be getting a free ride off of you. And Mark is like, man, I don't care about that. And then goes and does that stuff. Good on him. That's his goal in life. So he wants to do that, and he's not going to let anybody get in his way. With me, I just wanted to make stuff and speak to people who seem to at least be kind of interested in that. And if you don't want to do that, whatever. Like I've tried to purposefully give a lot of these different, forgiveness crap things. Um, but at some point you break the camel's back. Like you can't keep being given passes for not being able to follow very simple directions. Like, I could never live with myself. I just let people run me over and tell me how I should feel. Like this person doesn't just want to not watch the video. He wants you to go back and act like he didn't just piss you off, week after week, pretending like he was so busy. That's not going to happen. If you have the right to not watch it, I have the right to get pissed and say we're done, and do the Thanos snap on our put my Infinity Gauntlet on, and snap the interaction away, into nothingness. Um, I think I don't ask for much when it comes to really any platonic interaction. Um, Case in point, out of the how many people I speak to regularly online? Maybe about three. Out of that number is dwindling down even more because I'm sick of these bastards. But out of the 3 people I spoke with regularly online for the period between October of last year and like maybe February of this year, which was I think the highest it's ever been, I only ever asked one of them to watch anything I put out. And I did that because they claim to be interested in that kind of stuff. When I would like this, how crazy they are. When I describe what I'm doing, they're like, "Oh man, this is so cool," yada yada yada. But then if you go and you say, "Hey, can you see the finished product?" Avoid it like the plague. And I couldn't understand that because you know when it comes to making something, you have to understand that when people edit, it takes longer than just sitting here and discussing a thing or talking about something. This would have been a much longer thing to put out if I wasn't kicked out of that server because I would show the messages. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, he's making this stuff up. There's no way this can be something that actually happened. So I like to have the proof of the person saying all the little nonsense that they write. But unfortunately, we're kind of stuck in this position where can't really do it at this point. Unfortunately, you just have to take my word. I know my word is, I don't like to say take someone's word without evidence, but we're not really using it to convict somebody here. So hey, it's just an anecdotal thing at this point. And I think that humans at their best are helping other humans. Whether it's watching someone's stuff that they put out for that explicit purpose and liking it, or in the case of those few people supporting someone financially on that other website because YouTube keeps them monetizing them over and over and over again. Um, and like I said, I accept that most people won't take that second step. So when I say, hey, do the first one, I'll give you time to do it, and you still don't do it, and you speak to me in a more like a hell of a lot more than like just regular members of the chat because me and this person met off of YouTube at first. Um, Don't expect for your refusal to do something so basic to go without consequence. And I think that's a fair system. I don't, like I said, I don't ask for much. I asked them to watch me, and that's another thing. Like, I just realized this. They've sent me at least 3 or 4 different videos they did on their account. I always watch their stuff. Like when they would send me something, which they did, I think I might have done a little bit more, but they sent me their stuff too, and I never complained about getting it. I never said I'm gonna watch this, but just give me a week, or I'm gonna watch this eventually. The second they sent that, I clicked it, or if I, let's say, didn't see it for like a day or so because I wasn't on my account, I go and watch it later. Bottom line is that I didn't. This is a person who themselves makes stuff with the purpose of people getting to see it, and then they put something up. I see it, but then they can't do it backwards. And in a lot of cases, their stuff is actually like that's so dumb to me. Whatever, man. If we throw in their stuff, the stuff they sent me that they wanted me to watch, the number's probably a little bit even around that length. The romance, like sociologist is diverse, which is cool. I like the political content. Well, like I said, that was my main thing, and just like one day, this romance stuff exploded for no reason, and people now retroactively try to act like I was always a romance platform or some kind of thing. That's weird. Like you can literally like they have a log of stuff from before that you can see it's all political. That's why it's weird. Like it's right there in front of you, and you're like, oh, no, that doesn't exist. So, what a week. Rob Vulture says consequences. What are those? You're gonna have to ask him. He this individual who has difficulty achieving basic forms of comprehension is gonna have to pull out his dictionary or thesaurus and read the definition to you. You probably won't be able to use it in the sentence though. I think we've pretty much described the whole scenario. I might get off here in like 2 minutes. Let me just give my epilogue. As I was saying earlier about the part where it's like, oh well, you when you have a goal or something you want to do, you don't let people get in the way of that. I think the best function of human beings is to be accessories to each other's goals. If Mark I keep using this example. If Mark wants to be a doctor, and his teacher shows him how to be a doctor, they're an accessory to his goal. And the teacher wants to have students. Mark is an accessory to the teacher's goals. It's a trade. So if I say, hey, I want people to watch this, and you're a person I speak to a lot more than other people, can you watch this? And it costs you nothing to watch it. You sit online every day for hours. Like there's no excuse. And you could have been an accessory to a goal that was very simple. I mean, like, can you imagine how many people would take? Like we even had this earlier. I think who was it that I said that to? Was it Sky? Where I was like, yeah, if all you had to do, like, let's say, to get someone to talk to you or to do anything that you wanted of like some particular value was just watch a video on a website for free, everybody would be rushing on there to watch that. But the fact that he wouldn't watch it tells me, all that stuff about, oh my God, I want to be friends, I want to be acquaintances and talk again. It's all grandstanding mumbo jumbo nonsense that he will give lip service to, but in execution, it's not really. One day in the future, it might be a crime for looking a woman wrong. I wouldn't be surprised, Mark. People are getting in trouble over all kinds of stuff now. I mean, I'm a bully for not speaking to someone, so anything's possible at this point. So that's how the cookie crumbles, where every time you don't talk to someone, you're bullying them. So if Mark doesn't leave a comment on like everything I put out from now on, he's a bully, according to that Discord server admin's logic. I swear that was, what? This whole like that death of that interaction might actually be worth its death, just so we can get that gem that good line. The person's a we'll get you that. I've never seen Populist Revolt before. I couldn't believe it. I said I've never seen like I'm gonna make a movie. And it's gonna be called Bullying by Not Speaking, and it's gonna like be dedicated to that person's username. And it's just gonna be like this movie where this guy is like he's feeling so tormented, and you're trying to figure out what are people doing to him. And like at the end of the movie, you see that when he goes outside and there's a bunch of people, they say nothing to him. Oh, man, what kind of world do you live in? Like, oh, that was so stupid. I'm sorry, that was so difficulty to understand basic forms of comprehension. Man, that is a classic line waiting to happen. It needs to be in a movie or some like TV, some high end TV show, like one of those those DC shows like The Flash and Green Arrow. They need to put that in there. Like have a villain that they create for the show, who who is like upset with the heroes that they don't talk to every single person they meet. So he's like, oh, that's bullying. Oh my god. What's another highlight from the death of this acquaintanceship? I think maybe the part where he's like, "Oh, you called me all these different names, and that's why I said I was gonna block you." But then he leaves out the part where he was saying that I'm a drama queen and all this other stuff. Like that was hilarious. Stand up to are stunning and brave. I don't even know what the patriarchy is anymore. Like at this point, if you really think dudes are in control of anything, I don't even know what to tell you because chicks get on here and they put up all kind of stuff. They get loads and loads of dudes going, and if a guy like puts up something that he spent a bunch of time making, gets almost no attention whatsoever. I said before, there's a channel on this site that like with a woman who we don't even know what she looks like, who talks like this, and she has thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. And I just couldn't believe like that was something that people really were that into. Like, how insane is it that like? And the saddest thing is, I'm not even that surprised. I take that back. I'm not shocked that a person that, for all we know, could look like Medusa, has like loads and loads of guys just doing this. Whenever she does a video with that voice, with no idea of how she looks. I could see if it was somebody like somebody we knew what they looked like and they were hot. All right, that makes sense. But like it's just a voice and it's got loads and loads of people on there just every day watching that stuff. But look, I'm not gonna get upset about them for supporting their stuff, which is why I don't name the person. I'm not trying to, make a bad impression of them. That's just what I see. And again, what I see isn't always a bad thing. It's just something I observe, like just to give credence to what you were saying about how chicks control the world, or whatever. Like they get all these things that a lot of men don't have when it comes to just stuff being perceived a certain way. What's another example of someone just being? I'm trying to think of something else that is kind of like that. I wonder if I was a chick with the guy said I was bullying the other guy for not speaking to him. Have my double standards even more addressed. So to close this out, because I don't want to be here all day. But what about the gender wage gap? I mean, again, like people don't want to accept the fact that you have all these homeless dudes, right? If they had vaginas, all they have to do is get screwed and pop out a kid, and there you go. Call it what it is. So it's but they don't want to accept those kind of little things that are true about society, and how having a taco between your legs will just create a lot of ease and erase much of the difficulties that those of us who are not endowed with such a thing have to put up with. Yeah. What's the Equal Pay Act? So closing out, I'm not that difficult to get along with. I just have no patience for very simple things being turned into these like huge tasks and quests. And if I know people who have like such a difficulty with just things in general that they can't watch a video after a month that's less than half an hour long on a website where everything is free and they have the option to see it all day or all night whenever they want, I don't want to talk to you. So that's my you're on that crazy, yeah. Common sense is deceased, but look, I appreciate those who showed up, and talk to people that support you. Talk to people that like what you like, genuinely are interested. You know that will watch a video if you ask them to, and give them 2 or 3 weeks to watch it, and not suddenly retcon the reason they didn't watch it, or try to make you a public spectacle on their little stupid server. Um, just be around those that enjoy your presence, because a lot of these snakes, like, that's why I don't talk to many people. They stab me in the back. Oh yeah, I want to talk to you. Oh, I don't like you anymore. Yeah. So have a good day.